everybody, what's going on? Welcome back to another reaction. Please don't mind the hair as I'm in the process of dyeing it all the way silver and I need some extra time to get there and it actually on camera looks pretty decent actually, but not as well as some of the other hair. But the roots need a little bit of work, so please don't pay too much attention to that. But in any case, we're finally getting into the August D-Day album. We are obviously going to skip a couple of songs that I've already reacted to on the channel with Hegum, Amygdala, and People Part 2, which featured IU, all of which were incredible songs. And obviously something like Hegum that had a lot of like social commentary to something like Amygdala, which had a lot of commentary on a person's depression and struggle and going through incredibly hard times, with things that they couldn't actually share in that moment, and being so far down that you wanted to hurt yourself to a point where there's no return. Which initially kind of like created the Agust D persona with the box cutter knife, which prompted the scar. And it was an incredibly visceral music video that had me talking for quite a bit of time, as well as Hegum and People Part 2, of course. All of these songs that we've checked out. And, every time I react to anything that relates to BTS, I find myself talking quite a bit because their lyrics, no matter if it's a solo song, no matter if we're focusing on the group as a whole, there's a lot to discuss and there's a lot of layers to everything that these guys do. So, so far, it has been an incredibly versatile as well as an incredibly relatable album with the 3 songs that we checked out. So now we are going to start off with D-Day, which is also the title of the album. So today is D-Day. It's showtime. So without further ado, also, this video is actually released as an early access reaction on Patreon a week ahead. And then next week, by the time this video comes out on Patreon, I'm actually going to record a reaction to the Agust D documentary, which is available currently on Disney+. So if you're interested in seeing that, check out the link below. And yeah, let's get into it. Ooh.
Future's gonna be okay, okay, look at the river and I see no pain. I die for real till the D-Day, but it's gonna be okay. Time for some paycheck and I'm riding downtown. Switch, time taking it on. Future's gonna be okay, look at the river and I see no pain. I die for real, as karma gon' be coming back for me. Time for some paycheck and I'm riding downtown. Switch, time taking it on. D-Day's coming, it's a fucking good day. 이 나를 위해서 여지껏 미를 가린 듯해. 어쩌면 너리 속해 던지난 나를 이젠 over. 다시 태어난 우리 위해 축배를 다시 건드려. 미움이 가득한 세상에 중요한 저도 uk불 필요하네. 연꽃 춤추는 강속에서도 찬란하게 꽃 피우기에 아둥바둥 남과 비교 열등 감작이 혐오 이런 것들로 향해 오늘부로 총구를 겨눠. 당신은 무엇인가?
Oh my god.
과거를 후회 말고 미래를 두려워하지 마 임마. 피할 수 없어 맞고 충분히 아프고 말겨. 괜히 상처를 헤집으면서 흉터를 키우지 말겨.
Damn.
I can't remember, I can't remember, don't say no more. I can't remember, I can't remember. Switch over, time taking it. Future's gonna be okay, look at the river and I see no pain. I die for real till the D-Day, but it's gonna be okay. Time for some paycheck and I'm riding downtown. Switch over, time taking it. Future's gonna be okay.
This feels like it's time to grind kind of song. Like, if we're thinking about like boxers, it's time to put that mouthpiece on, grind your teeth, and just go swinging. That's kind of what it makes me feel like. It feels like a fight song. Like no matter what, It's going to be okay. I need to get that paycheck. And today I'm not going to see any pain. Today is the time to grind. And also the switch, repeating switch over, which kind of like the switch in the personalities of Jungi. Uh, this feels like a switch for sure, as it later like prompts up Hegem, which feels which is as August D as it gets. In terms of the personality that he portrays within the lyrics and visually too. So this beautifully placed, in the order of things.
It's gonna be okay. Time for some paycheck and I'm riding downtown. Time taking it on. It's gonna be okay. Okay, look at the mirror and I see no pain. I die for real, ask karma gonna be coming back for me. Time for some paycheck and I'm riding downtown. Time taking it on. D-Day's coming 금지된 것들로부터 해방됨과 동시에 당신의 new 챕터를 열어고 여있기엔 우리는 여전히 젊고 더 어려 어제보다 나은 오늘을 위한 최소의 노력 당신은 무엇인가 한계 따윈 없는 거야 임마 과거는 지나갔고 미래는 먼 얘기물 두려워 임마 과거는 과거일 뿐 현재는 현재일 뿐 미래는 미래일 뿐과 의미 부연 힘들어 10중 8, 9, 5
Oh man, that is such a cool line. The future is only the future, but it's exaggerated, like because of your expectations and everything, all the pressure that you put on yourself, or the expectations that someone has of you, especially if you're like someone like Jungi or like any idol in general for that matter. And again, we have the mention of a lotus flower, which was mentioned, I believe, in the amygdala, as far as like coming from a rough background or going through a bunch of like what the lotus goes through, a lot of dirt, being grown in an environment that is less than ideal, let's put it that way, but then coming out intact and as perfect as it could be, so blooming despite whatever bullshit you go in your life. So this truly kind of feels like a song where you just say fuck it and you fight. We'll pass the maze and start a new beginning. Yeah, damn, let's go.
당신의 new 챕터를 열어고 여있기엔 우리는 여전히 젊고 더 어려 어제보다 나은 오늘을 위한 최소의 노력 당신은 무엇인가
Yeah, the hatred is the dirt for the lotus flower to bloom in.
얘기물 두려워 임마 과거는 과거일 뿐 현재는 현재일 뿐 미래는 미래일 뿐과 의미 부연 힘들어 10중 8, 9 오늘부로 미로를 지나 새로운 시작을 시작층으로 뒤덮인 세상에 다시 연꽃이 핀다 그래 D-Days coming 당당히 가슴을 펴려 증명은 당신 몫이니 부디 증명해 내려 I can't remember
Also, the open your chest out, like give it your all, give it your heart. Though, as someone who had open heart surgery, that those lyrics kind of, I think about it, and the dark part of me wants to kind of like smile at it, but it's kind of dark for me to smile at it or laugh at it. But I know what you mean. This is really, really cool. Give it your all.
I can't remember. Switch over. Time taking it. Future's gonna be okay. Okay. Look at the mirror and I see no pain. I die for real till the D-Day, but it's gonna be okay. Time for some paycheck and I'm riding downtown. Switch over. Time taking it. Future's gonna be okay. Okay. Look at the mirror and I see no pain. I die for real. Ask karma gonna be coming back for me. Time for some paycheck and I'm riding downtown. Switch over. Time taking it over.
That is such a cool setup for Hegem, where he switches and then he basically goes off on everything and everyone in terms of like being a slave to your wealth, to your health. That's a different song I think I'm referencing, but being a slave to YouTube, whatever gets you the clicks, whatever gets you famous, whatever like losing substance in life itself and focusing on the wrong things. So I actually can't find the article that I found a while back, which I think it talked about Snooze more than anything, the song Snooze. But as far as like D-Day itself goes, what I feel like is really, really cool, that even though it's Agust D speaking, what he proved with Hegem, of course, and Amygdala and People Part 2 and all that kind of stuff, what it showed from Agust D, the music video, which we checked out not that long ago, it shows an incredible amount of maturity. And this song is basically like, this song is the catalyst for Hegem in terms of like, the song is being the one where you just liberate yourself, break your limits, don't think too much about the future. Hegem, as far as like talking about being a slave to all of these things that don't necessarily matter, you being so obsessed with things that are materialistic, which basically, like, I think the lyric said something along the lines of like putting shackles on you, the hatred, and like people being against each other and all that kind of stuff, not realizing that like the system is basically fucking you by putting like all, like, instead of focusing on the real issues, we focus on hating each other, being pinned against one another, and by doing so, by having our right to express ourselves however we want, we express it in the wrong direction. Basically, we focus on the wrong things and focus on the lyrics of exaggerating your future with D-Day. Also, like, makes me think of like things that I see where, you know, there's an area of social media that gets very toxic, as far as like, if you're not a millionaire by this age, then you're a failure. If you don't have a car, if you don't have a house, if you don't have this and that by the time that you're like fucking 22 and whatever, like, by a lot of people's standards, I'm 30 years old and I'm probably considered a failure by so many people. Um, who think that way. Like, it's all about your status. It's all about being, you know, high value and all that kind of stuff. It's like the focus on all of these things, almost like it creates an unreal. Like, we literally just checked out um Allergy by Idol, and I feel like that relates as far as like having like a distorted perception of what reality is. You know, for women, for example, like unrealistic beauty standards. For men, you know, thinking that you're a failure if you don't have A, B, C, and D. The more you think about it, the more depressed you will get because you cannot get to those things, and you think that if you don't have those things, then that you're a failure. And I feel like a song like Hegem kind of touches on it. This song is more of a catalyst to Agust to liberate himself and just speak on that subject very freely, and just you know, shoot at everyone without missing a single target. And the future is exaggerated is one of the lyrics that really caught my eye, as far as like focusing on it too much, as far as where you're supposed to be by the time that you hit this age or this stage in your life. Um, so just live in the present. Don't let your past kind of like take over you and put you down, drag you down, but don't think so much about the future in the sense that it depresses the shit out of you. So life is almost like this maze that you're walking through, and eventually we're gonna get through it. Like, there's literally lyrics of a feeling of inferiority, self-loathing compared to others. Again, aim your gun at these things starting today. Don't focus on these things. Break the limits. Like, I love that this. If Jungi were to just say these lyrics, it would feel like a conversation that you have with him, and he's just trying to kind of like pass his wisdom on to you. So don't regret the past. What happened, and don't be afraid of the future, but don't overthink it. And he literally says, you know, I hope you can avoid getting hit and hurt enough. I'm trying to figure out what's wrong. Don't grow a scars. Uh, scars of literal scars of life, and like the scar that is the scar on his face as the Agust persona. Do as I say, not as I do. Is kind of what I'm reminded of. It's almost like a fight song. Again, it feels like a boxer going into like that final round in a way, and he's losing the fight, and he has to knock the motherfucker out. And you know, he goes for it. He stops thinking, and he starts doing. Let's move on. Since we already checked out Hegem, let's jump into Huh, which features J-Hope. And you guys know how much I fucking loved not just More, but Arson even though I'm more into the heavy stuff, Arson was just so fucking nostalgic for me. Like from the beat to the way that he rapped, and then the ending of the music video. Holy fuck! So let's move on to Huh. What the shit? It reminds me of Deadpool. Oh. The piano reminds me of Humble by Kendrick Lamar a little bit. Oh my god, this is so fucking cool. While you are so busy making a beat that is sick and you only focus on, you know, one aspect, I'm making art. I kind of confused what he was what the lyrics were. But it kind of makes sense. He says, I'm busy taking medicine. But also, like, as far as like his music or BTS's music healing people, while you guys only make you make what is technically music, but it doesn't really do anything for anyone listening to it other than put them in a beat. Like, I make stuff that heals people, kind of, or maybe that's a bit, I'm taking it way too far because that's not technically what he's saying. But taking medicine, the karma of success accumulated from there you go. Damn, I got excited because I confused the lyrics a little bit. So let's take it back. 하얘가 촌스러 음악은 나 새끼들이 약박이 바빠 학생이 퉁쳐 대구에서부터 싸운 성공이 없어 어쩌다 성공 운도 성공 White House, BTS at the White House, nice. 열등감들이 폭발해 망했다고 날 걱정하는 인생이 망한 걸 왜 몰라 그래 인터넷 세상과 현실을 깨달아 현실을 살아리 변해 정신 차리라고 전부 기사대기들 백백들 다들 깨끗한 축은 역겹네 부딘 일동부터 난 책책해 수많은 기사와 가십 정보와 시대 속하긴 현실의 시공창이라면은 벗어나 길을 절실히 너도 Damn. I love the sass in this one. Damn. Come on. Whatever you do, no matter what you do, no matter what you say, whatever you have, no matter what you know, no matter what you make, 난 너에 대한 모든 부분이에요. 그저 같이 여기 그지 여기에요. 무슨 할 말이 필요해요. 내 할 일을 해도 내가 길을 가도 화제가 되기에 화제를 되기에 내 플랜은 지켜. On the street, keep there. On the street, that's a throwback. Oh. Damn. Damn, the keys really remind me of Humble in a good way. Damn. So apparently the repeating lines in Huh are reminiscent of Agust D's 2022 song, What Do You Think? Where he repeats the sentence, what do you think? Of course, because that's the name of the song. By repeating the line in Huh, the question, what do you know about me, becomes rhetorical. He asks it so many times that it takes on a mocking, almost condescending tone. He does not care what people think. they know about him. Like everything you think you know about me, you know it from the internet. You don't actually know the real me. I'm living the life that you wish to live, but you don't factor in the actual reality of the life. But because also the lyrics say real life and the internet life are completely different, something along those lines. It also touches, and I'm reading this off of genius.com. So he does not care what people think they know about him. In the end, malicious speculations about him are fueled by outsiders' perspective of him having what they want. So, and he calls them out as wannabes. In Huh, Jungi reframes the rumors and gossip about him as the product of people whose lives are not inspiring. And so they have to turn to him to project their own insecurities and shortcomings. So, yeah, that makes a ton of sense because a lot of times anyone who really like goes so hard in the paint and hating you and like uh basically waste their entire day on you, that's not a reflection of you, that's a reflection of them looking at your life and thinking that you don't deserve any of the things that you have because it's either easy, it's just something that they hate you for having because it's everything that they want to have. And even like J-Hope says, saying, I'm all about you because it's just worthless. Like it's such a mocking tone. It's so fucking cool and literally saying on the street, if I'm not mistaken, it's a reference to the song with J. Cole, which was awesome. And so my comeback is easy. Now the system will be an insult, overheated machines. Um, I can't stand adversity. I can't stand contempt. This is my feedback. Because it's not actual feedback. Like feedback is supposed to be like constructive criticism. If anyone has ever been open to like criticism, as far as it being something that should help you in like constructive feedback and criticism is supposed to better you. Is supposed to be taken with the intention of the person saying it actually wanting you to do better. And if anyone that I've seen, like from various shows or variety shows and like bits of interviews and whatnot, idols take critique very well because they know that the person on the other side of giving it actually wants them to succeed. It's never, but then it ironically it gets interpreted by people online as something mean. Because how dare you give him advice? He's so much bigger than you. Like we focus on the wrong things here, guys. And so I love the fact that he calls out like the mindless hatred that can all be accumulated and you just being incredibly insecure and you having too much time, too much spare time to think about me, then you have to think about yourself. Like if you spend the amount of time that you hate on these idols as you did on yourself and better yourself, you would probably be in a much better place. Mentally, maybe financially, I don't know. But it feels like hating on idols is almost like a full-time job. I love the line, if reality is a gutter, get out of it. Like stop. And also, oh my God, this line is so fucking cool. It's disgusting to pretend that you're clean. Please check your shit first. The grass is always greener on the other side. Like, those people who pretend to be holier than thou, and those people that think that they're like they have like this savior complex that pretend that they're fucking holy when in reality you're so fucking full of shit, dude. Also touching on the articles and gossip, the villain of information age. Like if anything is going to set someone against another person is the news. It's the machine that is, media and all that kind of stuff. Like how many times do we read titles from Twitter without actually going into the fucking article? How many times do we verify something before making a post about it that gets tons of likes and convinces people that this is something factual? You know, and even then he kind of like says, I pray that even you'll do well. Because at the end of the day, he might be August D, but he no longer has that hate in his heart. So I love these lyrics. I love the mocking tone, and it's almost like condescending. It almost feels like uh it kind of like reminds me of the Tell Me More, if I'm not mistaken, the Willy Wonka meme. The internet world and reality are quite different. It also kind of like touches on like low key, oh, the shit that you've been talking about me, if I were to see you in real life, you'd probably ask for my autograph. So how much of a two-face can you really get at that point? So that also speaks to, disgusting to pretend that you're clean. So please check yourself first before you wreck yourself. Anyway, this was an awesome song. I really love the vibe of this one. Obviously, from this song, we should be transitioning to Amygdala. We already checked it out, so we'll be checking out a song called SDL. Let's go. SDL, Somebody Does Love.
사랑하는가 또 누굴 생각하는가 또 누굴 기억하는가 또 누굴 미워하는가 누굴 위해 사는가 또 누굴 위해 우는가 누굴 위해 우는가 이것이 사랑 아닐까 사랑이란 단어의 그 거창함 덕에 쉽게 잊고 사는 것이 말야 사랑이라 당신이 그리워하는 것은 그대일까 아니면 미화된 기억 저편의 그대일까
What a switch. Especially after Amygdala. Damn. Something in the brain. Positive. Ooh, who's that?
벌써 희미한 것처럼 영혼을 노래하던 우린 없어 마치 꿈처럼 내가 그리워하는 것은 말야 그댈까 아니면 후회와 미련이 남는 그댈까 Somebody does love But I'm thinking about you Somebody does love Somebody does love But I'm thinking about you
Love is pouring in the spring day. Reference to BTS. Damn. That's beautiful. Dang. That was beautiful. So apparently the singer, the female singer, is Park Soo-hyun, who is professionally known as Adora. Her vocals are absolutely beautiful, and the harmonies here are absolutely incredible. It's really a beautiful song, especially after something like Amygdala, especially with the meaning of amygdala as far as like, and I'm gonna read it again. The amygdala is commonly thought to form the core of a neural system for processing fearful and threatening stimuli, including detection of threat and activation of appropriate fear-related behaviors in response to threatening or dangerous stimuli. So it was like the underdeveloped, the inspiration. Like there was a dimension of the novel with the kid with the underdeveloped amygdala, so he doesn't have like that that fear in him, if I'm not mistaken. Like I talked a lot in that amygdala reaction, so I'm not necessarily doing it justice right now. But to go from it almost feels like we're going from the part where August D is laying down there, unable to escape the amygdala, because you cannot escape those memories. You can just hope to live with them. Uh, you cannot you cannot change what happened. The depression, you can overcome it if you accept it, rather than continue to live in it and try to open that door up, because it's impossible. So you just have to be aware of the fact that those memories are there. They put you in a very bad place once upon a time, and you have to look forward towards the future and just put that, uh, just accept that there's a room in your brain that has all of those terrible memories. It doesn't mean that you have to constantly think about them. And having someone to love definitely would help transition into into something a little bit more positive. Even though the lyrics do kind of like speak a little bit about things not working out as you wish. Relationships are really difficult, and it wasn't right from the start. The gap between the two of us. So there's obviously a bit of a relationship aspect, a romantic relationship. The lyrics are pretty straightforward in that way, so that's where I'm going to keep it. Even though when it comes to relationship songs, usually you can easily translate it as a song for the fans, but at the same time, this does feel like a relationship that didn't necessarily work out, and memories are bound to be glorified was a really nice line, because like the memory of us was greater than our relationship, because in those memories we were happy and everything. uh but in reality, if we went back to that relationship, it would fail because it wasn't right from the very start, because it wasn't right from the very start. But it's still like, I feel like there was a mention, a reference to Spring Day by BTS in the third verse. There's definitely feelings of like reminiscing, feelings of regret, and feelings of like the chorus is very chill. The harmony with Adora is really really beautiful. Um, and there's still something like peacefully beautiful despite talking about a relationship that didn't necessarily work out. Are you still smiling at the memories? So it's a really beautiful song, almost like a very realistic way of looking back at a relationship. Just because it's over, just because we weren't meant for each other in the end, it doesn't mean that it wasn't actually beautiful. And smiling at the memories. So it definitely feels like, much like the lyrics are actually saying, like it's a song that makes you kind of like reminisce, and a song that makes you think about a certain someone, even though if you were to go back into that relationship, it wouldn't work out. But I still kind of, because of those memories that I glorified in my head, I'm still thinking that maybe there could be something there, but the gap was too big between us from the very beginning. Uh, but it doesn't mean that we didn't have a good time, or we built something. So it was really really a nice little switch from the style and the grittiness that we got from the first three songs. Then Amygdala, of course. The song that follows this, I believe, is People Part Two, which makes a lot of sense, uh, especially in the time of COVID, with the pandemic and everything. When that's what he talked about. August D talked about in the outro for that music video, and just being alone, basically, and IU almost like representing that person that you are kind of like missing, that person who you wish you could see, which doesn't necessarily mean romantic. It's just being alone in the state of what was the pandemic at its peak, and just kind of like losing your mind. And it doesn't matter what you do. You make music, you're with your dog, you're in a beautiful apartment, and whatnot. You still want to have human interaction. You still want that intimacy, whether it's a loved one, whether it's a girlfriend, boyfriend, whether it's your group members, friends, whatever it is. You want to actually interact with someone other than a fucking video call or Zoom. I love that in the first verse, like he asks all this question, like, who do you love, think, remember, hate, who do you live for, smiling for, and cry for? Like all of these things that you do for a person that you love. Love is like the catalyst for all of these emotions. You can love someone and you can hate them. Um, at the same time, like it depends on those moments and who do you cry for, and are you crying for them because you love them? Because otherwise, why would you cry for them if it didn't mean anything? So at the end of the day, like the chorus is really, really cool. Somebody does love. I don't know what else to say, honestly. So let's move on to the next song.
수많은 진실들과 수많은 거짓들 사이 우리는 제대로 세상을 바라보는가 진실과 거짓의 차이 선동과 본질의 사이 내 이득은 무엇인가 비애 같은 세상의 개처럼 살 순 없기에 눈을 뜬 채로 현실을 봐 정의의 반대는 또 다른 종이 알잖아 세상엔 없거든 선이 팩트는 관심 없고 내 편이 아니면 죽여버리는 게 지금의 정의 좌우우 흑과 백자 여친 연극 끝에 관계 그 서로를 물어뜯으면서
I love this instrumental.
물질 만능의 병폐 내 편이 아니면 다 죽이 되어버리는 극단적 선택 정치적 올바람도 안 내 입맛대로 귀찮은 문제니까 문체로 선택적 위선과 불편한 태도 오직 내 기분에 맞춰버리는 해석 진실과 거짓도 입맛대로 시선은 진영의 갇힌 채로 선택적 위선과 불편한 태도 오직 내 기분에 맞춰버리는 해석 수많은 진실들과 수많은 거짓들 사이 우리는 제대로 세상을 바라보는가 It is so dirty 나 또한 깨끗한가 It is so dirty 당신은 깨끗한가 시커먼 질문들과 무차별 비난들 사이 우리는 무엇을 위해서 싸우는가 It is so dirty
Damn.
나 또한 깨끗한가 It is so dirty 당신은 깨끗한가 내 모든 혀로 정의들은 백신할 사이 숨쉬게 니들은 비웃지 말이 너무 많은 시대에 입을 잡으면 방해자라고 손가락질을 해대네 어디서 감히 파파파 익명 속에 가린 비겁한 자들이 행하는 살인 가시돋지 말은 다 널 위한 거고 이제 해명을 하려고 하는 가식이 감히 파파파 입 다무는 범인 당신들이 외쳐대는 값싼 종인 피를 흘린 니들을 위한 게 아니잖아 제발 마주하라고 이 불편한 소리 황색 언론이 만드는 노시 누군가의 이득에 의한 choice 우리끼리 치고받고 싸우는 게 무슨 의미 창까지 미래를 향하라고 정치적 올바람도 안 내 입맛대로 귀찮은 문제니까 문체로 선택적 위선과 불편한 태도 오직 내 기분에 맞춰버리는 진실과 거짓도 입맛대로 불편한 진실에는 감은 채로 선택적 위선과 불편한 태도 오직 내 기분에 맞춰버리는 수많은 진실들과 수많은 거짓들 사이 우리는 제대로 세상을 바라보는가 It is so dirty
I think this is like my second potentially favorite song from this album.
시커먼 질문들과 무차별 비난들 사이 우리는 무엇을 위해서 싸우는가 It is so dirty 나 또한 깨끗한가 It is so dirty 당신은 깨끗한가
Holy shit! What the fuck was that? Ooh. Okay, I gotta be honest. This song is so fucking powerful. Like these are some of the most. This almost feels like a more intimate version of Hegem. Like he really cuts incredibly deep to such a degree where we almost like blur the line between what is real and what is a lie, what is truth and what is lies, to a point where we cannot see the world correctly. And asking, is it dirty? But also saying, am I also clean? Am I part of the problem, or are you clean? How can you know if you're a real one, so to speak? How can you know what you're fighting for? Are you? I feel like this song also kind of like touches on not being able to look at the world with an objective mind, which is like looking at it with an open mind and focus on facts rather than focus on what you have to benefit from it, which is something that Hegem kind of touched on as far as like being a slave to money, to YouTube, and also like putting those shackles on each other while we fight a war that is meaningless in terms of the people are fighting, instead of focusing on the real issues. We focus on like things that we can get so easily manipulated, as far as like yellow press, I believe, is mentioned. noise made by the yellow press, as far as like the media, it's all noise, but we believe it, makes a choice by someone's advantage. And he also says the cheap justice you've been calling for, it's not for those who bleed. Those who actually suffered are not going to gain anything from this very cheap variation of what you call justice. That justice that you call for is basically something that you pretty much benefit from. Like I talked about, I believe, savior complex in D-Day potentially. Uh as far as like thinking that you're holier than thou, and cheap justice, it almost feels like in today's world, and we kind of see that with idols, as far as like being accused of doing something and then getting kicked out of a group even though they didn't do it and they were proven to be innocent. And one person will always come to my mind, Sujin of Idol, for example. uh this obviously touches on a much bigger picture. How can you fix the bigger picture if you don't focus on the little things that make up for that bigger picture? With the cheap justice, it's not for those who bleed. Those who suffered are not actually going to benefit from this cheap justice. You are the only one who is going to benefit from it, because you're looking at ways to, you're not looking at it from a way to pay tribute to those who suffered, those who bled, those who died. You're looking to benefit for yourself. You're doing it not because it's the right thing to do, but because it's what is going to further you. Um, and he says, please face this uncomfortable line. What is the point of us fighting and hitting each other? Look at the end of the spear. It's almost like a double-sided spear by this point. We're fighting for something that is, at the end of the day, meaningless in a way. But we're so distracted that we can't even see the bigger picture that has been right in front of our eyes this whole fucking time. It almost kind of like feels like we're living in the Matrix, in a way. And also saying, while calling out for justice with a bloody tongue, like the bloody tongue that is going to kill somebody, because he also says a war without guns, war of words, how words can cut and end someone, and it's so anonymous. And the more anonymity you have, the more power you have. He also says, those who hold their breath don't laugh at me. If you keep your mouth shut too many times, he almost like wants to call out those who are hiding, those who are afraid of speaking out, those not necessarily like calling them out, but at the same time, how much can you take before you actually take a stand and do what is right? When do you begin to actually talk about something that bothers you or something that you disagree with? Which, you know, sometimes you're afraid of doing it, not necessarily because you fear for your life. It's not it's as simple as that. It's not always not doing something because I have nothing to benefit from it. It's just legitimately like sacrificing your integrity for fear, or your truth for fear, while others sacrifice their integrity for what will further them, as far as like the selective hypocrisy goes in the chorus. And keeping your mouth shut about troublesome problems, and looking at interpretations that only suits my mood, like not looking at things again objectively, but rather looking at things from a place where, how does it benefit me? How do I get further? How do I make more money? Because violence sells, war makes money. Those are all things that are incredibly unfortunate. Hatred almost feels like a job all by itself, like I talked about with J-Hope. If you're not on my side, you're all my enemies. An extreme choice to make. It almost feels like there's no such thing as looking at things objectively. It's either you're with me or you're against me. Either be with me or fuck you. That's how it feels sometimes. And also talking about how the opposite of justice is another definition. There's no such thing as good faith. I'm not interested in facts. You're not on my side. Killing him is the definition now. That's the definition of justice. So it feels like, it kind of like reminds me, like in the movies, you would also hear, like whenever there's a story in a movie about anything that has to do something with court, you always hear innocent until proven guilty. It feels like nowadays anyone can be guilty of something that they have no idea that they've ever done because they never did it. But if somebody will say that you did something, everyone will believe it because why would someone lie? But yet we see more and more of people lying. And then once they get caught, the damage is either already done or the person who lied and then is admitting to it. Hey, yeah, I made it up. Nothing happens to that person. Where's the justice then? I also like the lyrics, I can't live in a dog like a dog in a dog world, because it's a dog eat dog kind of world basically. And asking to keep your eyes open. These lyrics are absolutely like very real, and especially in today's society. Like I feel very strongly about these lyrics, and I feel very passionate about these lyrics as I did with Hegem. But yeah, if this wasn't an album reaction, I'd probably, much like with Hegem, I would turn this song into like a 40-minute reaction. But we gotta get moving to the next song. This might be one of my favorite songs from this album so far. Every single song has been absolutely incredible, really.